Hey everyone, welcome back to Mighty 90 Games. Today I'm picking up where I left off from the last video at the end of turn 10 of Zhao Ming, looking at a broad overall campaign strategy for new players and just how to get started and some tips and tricks and things to look out for and some of the stuff that you can do in the campaign map and in battle maps as well. So the last video ran a little bit longer than I'd hoped. I'm going to try and keep this one a little bit shorter. What I had not done at the end of the last video was just finish turn 10 in terms of checking buildings and stuff like that. So I'm just going to do that now. Come over here to the Warpstone Desert, which we just took off the Rebels. And then we are going to pop the Shrine of the Alchemist up to tier 2. Try and get some recruitment happening there. Not going to change the Wujing Compass. Still on the control Winds of Magic increase and income from all buildings, and so that's the end of that turn. So we've just taken Jingpo off Clan Eshin Skaven. Claw. Deathmaster Snickich was not at home, so that was an easy uncontested city to grab. So we're going to have to keep an eye out for him. Based on the fact that it's only turn 10, I don't think he's going to be too far away. If I had to guess, he'll be probably in one of these two cities, or he could be heading up to attack one of his enemies. And we'll check in the diplomacy screen when it's our turn again and see who he is at war with, because that might give us a bit of a clue as to where he is. I don't want to deal with that, so I'm just going to pay the fee to go around it. Let's have a quick look at Snickich. Skaven, there we go. Who's he at war with? Just me and the Celestial Loyalists. Okay, so the Celestial Loyalists, if you are not familiar with Skaven. God, doing well today, aren't I? If you're not familiar with Cathay, they're up here, the Celestial Loyalists. So Snickich has already taken Ming Zhu. If I had to guess, that was probably him personally that did that. Generally speaking, the enemy's legendary lords will be the ones kind of leading the attack. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to play it safe, because what we don't want to do is just go charging into the Skaven territory and then have them walk up and ambush us. So for those of you not familiar with Skaven, they have an ambush stance, a stalking stance, so they can just run up and ambush you, even if your army's, sitting there in the open and it's their turn. They don't have to go into ambush and wait for you to walk into them to pop an ambush on you. They can just run up and do it. So you want to be really, really careful when you're fighting Skaven. So for that reason, I'm going to leave her in march stance. There we go, one of his armies there. And I'm going to recruit 2 more of those. So the reason we want to stay in march, in camp stance, is when we turn into in camp stance, you see there, ambush defense chance plus 75%. So it doesn't give you, complete immunity, but it's pretty good. It gives you a pretty good chance of dodging it. The only thing it doesn't work on is the Tzinchian demons and the demon prince. If they use their teleport stance, they can teleport an ambush into you even if you are in camp stance. And camp stance doesn't do anything to stop that. The only way you can stop yourself being ambushed by Tzinch is by sitting in a city. They can't drop an ambush on you if you're sitting in a settlement. But otherwise, they can teleport in and attack your troops in an ambush without so much as a buy or leave. They'll just show up and attack you. Okay. No, I don't want a defense violence with that, because that's just going to drag me into another meaningless war with somebody else that I don't want to deal with. Okay, so no sign. What do I want to do here? Cargo plus 200, but I take plus 2 Chaos Undivided Corruption for 2 turns, faction-wide. That's not really much. Alright, done. Alright, so no sign of Snickich yet that I can ascertain. Oh, there he is. There you go. Okay, cool. I was just going to sneak her up to the border and keep recruiting, but he's sitting right there. And he's in friggin' march stance, which means that he can't retreat from an attack. Huh. Alright, that's actually worked out way better than I'd hoped. I was going to sit here with her and try and goad him into an ambush, which is always a pretty good tactic for dealing with Skaven. So what you do is you have your First Lord. I'm not going to actually do it because it's going to use up movement range that I want to then use to attack him. But what you do is you go into encamp stance with one Lord, and then you take your second lord and you put them in ambush stance behind the first lord. And you got to stay within that red circle. So both armies need to be within that sort of, this one needs to be in that army's red circle, and then by extension, they'll be in each other's. So that's called the zone of control, or control zone, is that little red circle. So what you do is you put your ambushing lord behind your encamped lord, because if they're behind them, or rather, sorry, I'll go the other way. If they're in front of them, what can happen is, as Snickich moves in here, he's going to pop Zhao Ming's ambush. He's going to see the ambush, and he's not going to be ambushed. Or, as he moves in, he's going to trip the ambush and get an intercept battle. Or, he's just going to pop the ambush from all the way back here. He's just going to see Zhao Ming, and he's going to run away if I've got a superior force. And if I don't have a superior force, he's going to run up and do the stalking stance ambush thing, so I'm stuffed, coming or going. Whereas if I put Zhao behind this lord, what'll happen is, as Snickich goes to attack this lord, who's got the ambush defense chance, because she's in encamp stance, as he moves into attack, he will then walk into the ambush, and then it's too late to do anything about it for him, and then he's stuffed, getting ambushed by two armies. So if you can set up that, that's called ambush baiting, and that's why I basically always have a second lord running around with my main lord in the early game, just to set up these ambushes against a tougher enemy. As it happens, though, if I come out of ambush stance with Zhao Ming, I can easily make that attack. If she comes out of encamp stance, she can reinforce, and I can just absolutely slug him right here. Now, I would normally definitely fight this. You may not want to. Against some lords, it really is better, even though you will take more damage on a fight. Yeah, okay, so great example. If I were to fight this manually, I could definitely keep my casualties down. But Snickich is an absolute pain in the bum to fight. And he has all sorts of wacky stuff that he can do, and nothing in this army, nothing in either of these two armies, maybe, no, definitely not Zhao, because he's double Zhao's level, holy crap. If you're dealing with certain lords, like Snickich is one, Scarbrand, I would say, is another, the Sisters of Twilight, the elven chicks that are on the flying mount and just have insane shooting stuff that'll just demolish all of your troops. There's a few lords where if you can catch them in a situation like this, and you don't actually have to fight them on the battlefield, you can just roll them to death, I would highly recommend it. I would probably fight this battle because I like keeping my skills sharp. But for the purposes of this, because it would be a long battle, for the purposes of this, I'm just going to roll it. We've got him at a decisive victory. We're only going to take medium casualties. Spread out across two armies, that's pretty good. And if we mouse over the auto-resolve button without actually pressing it, any units that are getting predicted to get wiped out, like those two, will flash. So I can make, on an unbalanced judgment, am I willing to pay 2 half-dead unit of peasant spearmen and some other casualties spread out across 2 armies to just roll Snickich out of my way and not have to deal with him? As a new player, I'm going, hell yes. The other thing you could do is you could save this. You could go in and fight the battle manually, see how you go, get the experience for yourself, and if it doesn't work out the way you like, well, just reload it and auto-roll it. But as I said, this is not an in-depth guide necessarily for Cathay. This is more of how to get started. So, in your kind of 10 turns onwards, once you've established some good territory for yourself and you've got a bit of revenue behind you, you've got a bit of money in your treasury, and you've got some decent fighting forces, you then want to start looking at your nearest dangerous enemy. Legendary lords should definitely be your priority over non-legendary lords. It's pretty rare that minor non-legendary lord-led factions... God, that's a mouthful. It's pretty rare that a non-legendary faction will ever come to be a huge threat to you. Certainly not as much of a threat as legendary factions. So, as I said, for myself in my campaign, as I said last video, I like fighting battles. So I probably would have rolled that. But just for the sake of keeping this down time-wise, and also showing you guys kind of what the limitations of the auto-roll are, as you can see, it wiped him out. It got 2 units of peasant spearmen killed. These got pretty well damaged across the board. These are okay. Bit of damage and everything. Second army's basically untouched. So everything here is going to heal up really quickly. Now, I am not going to risk it going into March stance. Mainly, Am I going to risk going into March stance now that I've said that? Because getting the replenishment would be really good. On the other hand, from here, we're in a pretty decent spot to just rip the guts out of the Skaven Empire. Because he'll have... If we go into diplomacy and click that, because that's faster, he's got 4 settlements left. So, it's got to be that one, because it's got Skaven Corruption in it. Although the Skaven Corruption is falling, but I still reckon it's probably that one. And then 1, 2, 3, obviously... And then, yeah, it's probably that one. So those 4 settlements there. So we're in a pretty good position if we stay here to rip his guts out. If we also look at the strength ranking again, we can see now that we're pretty evenly ranked, whereas before, he was much stronger than us. So just by taking out Snickich himself, we have massively dropped their strength ranking. So I would argue they've probably got 3 or 4 armies still, but they're going to be 3 or 4 armies of absolute crap. They're just going to be Skaven slaves and clan rats. I seriously doubt they're going to have anything that can pose a huge threat to our forces. And I'm going to double down on that by smashing his capital out of the way next turn. Well, the province capital, rather, because that's where he'll be able to build his highest tier of recruitment buildings. So the sooner we can get rid of that and get rid of his armies, the sooner we take away his ability to strike back. And that's a pretty good tactic, regardless of who you are playing as and who you are playing against. Take away their armies and their ability to replenish those armies, and you've got them over a barrel. Right? You can chase their armies around the field all day, but they can still be recruiting stuff. So if you smash their main military strength, yes, Eshen's turn just went by and they didn't do a thing. If you smash their main military strength and you can get their recruitment centers off them, then they're pretty well stuffed, and they can sit there and throw, tier 1 and 2 armies at you all day long. But once you've gutted their economy, taken away their ability to hit you back with armies, and then taken away their ability to replenish those armies, you're good. So yeah, cut off the head and the body will die is generally a really good way of dealing with factions that are a lot more powerful than you. It's also true of this game that 9 times out of 10, the best defense against a powerful legendary faction nearby is a good offense. Just go and knock them on the head and just get rid of them before they can cause you any problems. Yeah, I'll pay $500, 500 gold to make that caravan go a bit faster. Okay, so last turn I was chatting, so I didn't comment on it, but I'm just upgrading my capital to tier 3. Continuing your growth is always a good idea. Even if, in fact, I would say probably early game, it's probably better to just focus on the one settlement, or the one province, and the capital of that province. Unless there's like a particular landmark or something you're super keen about getting, then obviously you may want to focus on that. But generally speaking, upgrading your capital is a good idea. Now, if I move right up there, can I reinforce her? Or am I going to have to put her in March stance? No, I think that should do it. Yeah. Alright, now I am going to fight this one manually, but I'll try and make it quick. The only reason I'm going to fight it manually is because if I don't fight it manually, like half my army is going to get wiped out, and then I'm not going to be able to show you sort of the next couple of turns, because I'm going to have to sit there and replenish. So I will... New player, yep, we're going to save that. We're going to quick save before every battle, even if we're pretty confident, because we're a new player, and if we stuff up, we want to be able to reload and go again. We don't want all of our hard work to go to waste because of a moment of inattentiveness. Or we forget what a keybind is because we're a new player, or we neglect to watch for menace below, or whatever, and we get our artillery blown up. So yeah, don't be afraid to quick save. As I said, usually when I'm playing by myself, just for giggles, I'm sort of at the point now where I generally keep quick save turned off, just because I like to sort of, rather than do the same thing over and over again, which it is good to do that in this game and really get the hang of stuff, particularly like the first battle of a campaign. The way that you do your first battle in a campaign can really, really set you up very nicely. So if you're playing a lord that's got a particularly difficult first battle or two, not a bad idea to get your head around doing that. Okay, so the other reason we wanted to kill Snickich was so that Zhao Ming got Stalk, which he now has. But I think I may have forgotten to take off his enchanted item that was also giving him Stalk. So he's got double Stalk. Nah, that's not a thing. So he needs to change that item before the next battle. Remind me to do that, guys. Alright, so like I said, I'm going to try and not have this take forever, so I'm just going to set up pretty quick. Going to go with our standard plan of protecting that war machine using them, and these guys. So we'll put him in that group, put him in that group. Okay, now, our may have noticed that I moved this thing from over there. So that thing, that little pip there, indicates where your reinforcements are going to come on. I've moved mine. It's going to make them take longer. It's going to make them take 5 minutes rather than the minute 30 seconds or whatever it was over there. The way I figure it, if they come on there in a minute 30 seconds and then have to walk all the way over here, it's probably just as beneficial to have them just come on here. It's going to take 5 minutes for them to get here, but on that, whatever. Sorry about that. I just clicked off my screen. Not sure if that'll affect the recording or not. You may just get a second of blank there. The 5 minutes that it's going to take them to get here doesn't really worry me, because at least they're going to rock up where I need them, when I need them, and they're going to be fresh. And we're going to focus our attack on this side. Now, this city has no blind spot. I know this map really well. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our rocket batteries to target this tower. The reason I set up here is because there's only one tower here. There's another tower down here somewhere, but hilariously it can't shoot because it's got a friggin' cliff in the way. So a bit of a design flaw there from the Skaven engineers. Now, I suspect that the Skaven have got their right up where everything can stalk, which is why it looks like this city is empty. Not every Skaven has that. It's a Snickage thing. I haven't played a hell of a lot of Snickage. I can't remember what it's called. But yeah, they have a thing where they can make like a whole army's stalk. So this battle would be a little bit tricky out on the field. So I'm super duper glad that we're in a settlement here. Because it means that they can't sneak up and surround us. The AI will very, very rarely leave their cities. They very rarely sally through the walls to come and fire. Like, you can get them to with enough, like, massaging. Like, if I knock down the gate and then had Zhao Ming pop in and out and drop spells and stuff like that, could certainly... Look at him in there. He's badass. Brrr. However, I don't want him fighting clan rats. That's a waste of time. Not summoned clan rats, anyway. So what we're going to do now, because all these guys are stalking, and it's going to be super hard to see where they're at to aim with the rocket battery, I'm just going to use the rocket battery to pummel down that gate. It's also going to help kill a bit of time while we wait for our reinforcements. Because the idea here is I'm going to use the reinforcing army to do most of the work. Because Zhao Ming's army is pretty damaged, I'm going to try and keep them in reserve as much as possible. Hey, stop doing that. I'm going to try and keep them in reserve as much as possible so that the secondary army is the one that takes most of the damage. And then Zhao Ming can move on quicker. And what we'll probably also do is merge the units at the end. So we'll take the two armies and we'll put all the damage units together to heal them. And then we will take some of the units out of the second army and put them in Zhao Ming's army. And he'll end up with a full health stack again ready to go. So I think they only had like 4 uses of the Menace Blow. I can't remember. Wall of Wind and Fire is a 6 spell. Got access to that now, but I'm not going to use it yet because it costs quite a bit of magic. Yeah, I don't really care what the rocket battery is shooting at. Normally, as you've seen, I would normally be a little bit more selective about what I'm letting my rocket battery do. But we've got a ton of reinforcements in this battle, which have got heaps of ammo. And everything's got stalk. So I'm going to have to be right on them before I can see what I want to shoot at. So, for now, I don't mind them... Oh, that was a waste. Oh, how did that targeting reticle change right at the end there? That was good. 50 seconds. Great. This should also help to get rid of some of their menace. This should also help to tap out their menace belows. And then I don't have to sit here and guard the artillery. Meanwhile, Zhao's over here still absolutely whooping rats to death. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to let him tank a couple of units at a time, and we're just going to keep popping flame breath through them. Nice and cheap now. It's only costing us 5 winds of magic, because we put some talent points into it. So we've got plenty of casts of that left. We've got 82 magic plus 35. That's, yeah. Cast that till he's blue in the face. Run them down a little bit. No, you come back here. You're still guarding the flank there, please. Back you go. Back you go. Hate it when my troops are willful. No, do what you're told. Okay, so they've figured out that popping menace blows on the artillery is not going to work out for them, so now they're starting to pop it at Zhao, trying to slow him down a bit. Can't wait to see how that works out for them. Spoiler alert, not very well. Okay, so we've got the other Lord coming in. I've popped her in her own control group so she can run up here and support Zhao with some magical casty goodness. The rocket battery's nearly out of ammo. That's fine. Going to put the second army's melee troops with the first army's melee troops. Going to stack up the second army shooting behind this first army shooting just for now. Until I am... Oops. Ready to bring them all in. And also waiting until all of the reinforcements come on. Okay, so another cool thing about Cathay on the battlefield, and this is a good opportunity. If you look at this unit here, it's only got the yin marker, whereas all these guys have got the yin and the yang marker. So keeping your troops near each other doesn't count for Lords and Heroes anymore, thankfully. But keeping your main troops together like that provides them all with a buff. So as you can see, it's not buffing anything there, but when I go to these guys, because they are in balance, they get... Where does it show it? Maybe it shows it on the unit card. Yeah, I can't find it now. But yeah, having them together is a good thing. It buffs them a bit. And then you've also got Cathayan characters that increase the harmony amplifier. So it makes, like Satang the Watcher, he makes the buff that they get from standing together even better. So that's good. Okay, so the rocket battery is out of rocket, so that's good. We can now move that up here. Won't have done a lot of damage this battle in terms of like actually killing stuff, but it has battered down their defensive towers and helped pop the gate. And it will have gotten some kills. I mean, how many kills has it got? Yeah, 148, that's not bad. Nowhere near what it's capable of, but not a great battle to be using it on. As you can see, we can only... Oh, why does it keep doing that? As you can see, we've only got a very, very limited field of vision over this army. So the rocket battery's not going to be a whole lot of help. Well, wouldn't have been a whole lot of help. Alright, so we're moving the second army up. I'm going to put this on fast mode now, because this has taken quite long enough, thank you very much. Just going to keep spamming that. Wait till that other unit comes in. Skblam! Now, this is probably not a great time for Wall of Wind and Fire, because the bridge might make it bounce back this way. So, ideally, I want to wait till we get over that side and use it in that sort of corridor there, because it's a big area that it covers, but it's very, very slow moving. So you want all the enemies nice and choked up before you drop that. And no, she's too far away, that's fine. Okay, so these guys are absolutely hosing over the walls, which is great. Gonna bring these in now. Take a while for them to get through the door, but that's okay. Come on. Why is it not letting me cast that? Oh, there you go. Alright. So, as with all city battles, it's ideal, unless the enemy's got tons of like really powerful AoE magic or lots of powerful shooting, it's a really good idea to try and choke point the enemy wherever you can, so that your really powerful shooting and AoE magic can do as much damage as possible. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take half of these guys, slightly over half of these guys, and I'm going to move them up here, so that they then cover the approach while these other guys move up. Okay, so they've got a Warlock Engineer, he's going to do a bit of damage, but that's why I brought the second army up, so that the secondary Lord's army is soaking those sorts of spells rather than our army. Where are you? I really want her up here to drop a couple of Searing Dooms, because that will go a lot better with them all packed into a circle like that. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Thank you, Metal Wizard. Thank you very much. Okay, she's taking a bit too much damage. I'm going to back off, and I don't want to use too much magic on her protecting herself, because I'd rather save it for melting rats. So as you can see, we've still got all of them in reserve, but we're going to try and save them and keep them there so that they don't take any damage. And we really shouldn't need them. So Zhao's going to come over here now, while they just polish off those guys there. Phew, my graphics card is not so happy about running this on like ultra graphics on fast mode with it also recording. That's having a bit of a sad there. Might consider turning down some of the settings for the next video. We're just going to keep him in human mode because there's going to be lots of sneaky shooting around here, and I don't want him to randomly get hosed by something. I'll probably take him into dragon mode toward the end of the battle, because I will want him to chase stuff down. And it's also a bit of a... I don't know if this is working as intended, or if it's sort of an unintended side effect. But you can change forms with the dragon, and their health actually replenishes differently. So the dragon's health pool is different to the human's health pool. So once he's used up all of his battle healing cap as a human, I can then change him into a dragon, and he'll actually get a whole new battle healing cap, which is really cool. So it basically gives them 2 health pools to chew through, which is why getting that Von Carstein blade early is really good. And it's even better as Zhao Ming, because Zhao doesn't get like a talent for regeneration. Sorry, Miao Ying doesn't get a talent for regeneration. Zhao Ming does, but getting the Carstein blade early frees you up to spend talent points on other stuff, while also not having him miss out on the regen. So that's why I like to get it. I definitely do take regen on Zhao. This allows me to prioritize other talent points that have other benefits, and then I still get the benefit of having the regen anyway. Plus, with the Von Carstein blade, as you saw in the last video, I can pass it around to other lords and give them regen as well for certain battles. Whereas I can't take Zhao Ming's talent point for regen and hand that off to some random for a turn. So yeah, that's, if you're wondering why I haven't gone straight for regen on Zhao in terms of talent points, that's why, because I've already got it with the Von Carstein blade. I mean, if I hadn't been super lucky and gotten the Von Carstein blade first off, I possibly would have thought about moving in the direction of Zhao Ming's regen. But to be honest, I usually get pretty lucky with the Von Carstein blade. I usually get it within the first couple of caravans, if not the very first one was bloody lucky, along with the Star Metal plate, but yeah. Alright, so now's going to be a good time for a Winter Wall and fire down that way. I love this spell. The Car Washer of Death. If you're not watching from Australia, I don't know what car washers in other countries are like, but these very much look like the big spongy things that whirl around your car in an automatic car wash. Except the ones that do your car aren't made of fire. The Car Wash from Hell. Yeah. There's a few toasted rats out of that one. And then we're going to follow up with one of these through the fat part of the unit. Alright. It's real pain fighting bloody stalking armies, because you can't tell how much stuff they got left. Which is why I'm probably being a little bit more cautious on this battle than I'd like. Well, not for my personal gameplay. On my personal gameplay, I'll be as cautious as I damn well need. I've got no problem taking an hour and a half to complete a siege if it gets me through it with minimal losses. That's not just hyperbole, by the way. I've literally taken an hour and a half on a siege, which is why you'll never ever see me play with the time limits turned on. I hate the thought of like a really awesome battle that you're doing really well on coming to a grinding halt because of something arbitrary like a time limit being reached. And it's like, yeah, reminds me of the old like Looney Tunes cartoons where like Foghorn Leghorn would be getting chased by that bulldog, and then the bell would go and they'd both go and sign out. It's like, well, sorry guys, been an hour, war's over, ka-chunk. See you next time. Punch a little card and move on with their lives. Not loving it. I want all the time in the world to crush my foes in whatever way I so choose. Alright, so that Warp Lightning is doing a hell of a lot of damage, but unfortunately, without anything super duper fast to chase down the wizard, there's not a whole lot I can do about it. I could have Zhao Ming go Dragon, obviously, but there's still no guarantee that it's going to get the Skaven Wizard Lord, because they're just, as you can see, he's only interested in running away. All he wants to do is just run around and cast spells. So what I'll do is I'll sick these units on him, and hopefully they can harass him a little bit. But yeah, unfortunately, all I can really do, maybe dodge one. Come on. Yeah, dodge a little bit of it. Maybe I can shoot him, actually. That might be a better idea. Alright, you lot get across that bridge. You lot, they're just going to get minced going over here, but whatever. Our super duper important guy is still a-okay. And of course the secondary army is still not taking any damage. So you could definitely play a lot more conservatively than this, but as I said, I'm just trying not to have this battle take, you know, hours. And the Wall of Wind and Fire through there, it's a bit of a waste, but as I said, just trying for expediency's sake to get this done. Yeah, it's not working out for me. Alright, come back across the bridge. These guys are going well, they've got a good bridgehead there. Bring the rest of these crossbows across. So again, I'm only using a few. I'm not using all the crossbows at once. Well, I haven't been using all the crossbows at once. A, because they will all just sit there and hose the same unit, and then it becomes a bit of a waste of ammunition. And B, because I want at least some of these crossbowmen to survive this on pretty good health, so that they can go into Zhao Ming's army for the next turn. Second buyers. Do I have any other abilities that I can be exploiting? No, not really. Alright, Dragonfly it is. It's a pain, so I can't even shoot these guys back because I can't see them yet. Those Night Runners are doing a hell of a lot of damage to us. Are they Night Runners or Gun Runners? Night Runners. That's okay, because these guys haven't used any of their ammunition, we will be definitely... you can't see it on Legendary mode, but there's this thing called Balance of Power. If you're playing on the easier modes, you'll see like the red and yellow bar up there. Running out of ammunition, running out of magic, getting heroes and lords and characters like badly injured. All of those things count against your Balance of Power, and that can have a huge can have a huge outcome. God, I'm really not doing well today. Can have a huge outcome on the battle. So by keeping a bunch of dudes with full ammo and not getting damaged, I'm tipping the balance of the battle in our favour a little bit at a time, because they're using shots and health as a we, but we've got all these guys back here that are just chilling. So the game will hopefully soon start judging us as being a bit more powerful than they are. So I'm going to go over here and take this point if I need to knock that tower out. Killing their lord is going to be huge. That will give them a deficit to their leadership for the rest of the battle. Skaven really don't like it when they're... Well, no one particularly likes it. But some Skaven armies, as you'll see, will just like auto-shatter when their lord gets killed. So you can already see that that's provided a leadership penalty to some of these units. These guys are fine because they're not getting hit yet, but they're about to be. Cool, they're doing a great job of holding the bridge. That infantry got minced, but that's fine, I don't really care. Damn flies. Got the back door open a little bit while I'm streaming this, recording this, so that the dog can get in and out of his own accord. Usually he just comes and asks. But I'm like, no, Papa, I'm busy. Alright, here we go. There's the army loss kicking in, so you can see their leadership's just about done. They're going to break. There we go. Zhao Ming's in dragon form. And he'll just chase these down to give himself some time to heal. What is that? That's a good amount of kills. 954 kills for Zhao Ming. Not bad, not bad. And as you can see, all I did on him was plow him into a bunch of guys, keep casting spells at them, and then change into a dragon when he ran out of spells to cast. It's like... This is why I recommended you play the... Zhao Ming as your first lord, because he's just ridiculous. Oh, come on, let's see if we can get him over 1,000 kills. Come on, surely. Surely we can get over 1,000. 974, 181, 1,000. Alright, I'll call it there. That's rubbing it in enough, I think. Okay, so... We've taken away the Skaven's only capital city that they've got. Now, they might have a different city that's classed as their racial capital, and even if this was their racial capital, now that I've taken it, it'll flip over to a different settlement. But the point is, we've taken away their only settlement that has the ability to go high tier. So now, at maximum, they can come at us with tier 3 troops. And because we are early on in the game... the odds of them having other settlements up to tier 3, even though they're Skaven and they can settle things at tier 3, so they might, but I'd say this early on in the game, it's pretty unlikely, given how fast they've been expanding. They've probably spent most of their money on armies. Yep, close victory, nothing got wiped out. Oh, one unit of Jade Warriors got wiped out on the secondary army, but oh well. As I said, not my best work, but that's okay. I just don't want this to take all day. Oh my god, we got Doomsinger as well. Okay, This is disgustingly lucky. So Doomsinger is a world drop. It's a global purple item, and it can just kind of show up anywhere at any time for any reason. Getting that on top of everything else is kind of broken, because that sword also gives regeneration and a bunch of other cool stuff. So I'm going to put that on her, and now both characters in that army, Trickster Shard is crap. One to Jet's alright. Now, both of the characters in that army have already got regeneration, and if I need to take one of those items and give it to the other lord, then I've got even more items, and I can spread the regeneration even further now. If I pick up Miao Ying, in Confederation later, I can give her that, and then she's also got regen. So that's just disgusting. That is just disgustingly lucky on my part. There is nothing you can do, as far as I'm aware, to guarantee getting Doomsinger and its sister sword Deathsinger. And if you do manage to get both, then you get you have a chance to get a special trait on your Lord from having both of them in the one province. I've only ever managed to pull that off once, and it was, as I said, just by sheer luck. And I can't actually remember what the trait does, but given how hard it is to get, it's probably pretty good. So I'll swap those over as well. Okay, so Zhao's army's pretty well back to full nick. It's got a few dings in it, but that's alright. Now, what are we going to do with her? Because leaving her standing here is not necessarily a great idea, because the Skaven could run up and ambush us. So just in case that happens, I want you to be able to see what that looks like. So I'm just going to take all her gear off her. So if she does get jumped over the end turn and gets killed, at least I haven't hemorrhaged a bunch of really good gear. Where is the recruitment building in there? Xingpo. Xingpo is going to be safe, because there's no Skaven armies within striking distance of it, as far as I can see. So I'm going to take a gamble here, and I'm going to do this. Now, if you've... this would be a great opportunity to pick up some regiments around, if you're so inclined, just to fill out that roster, but I generally use my regiments of renown as an emergency force. So I'm actually going to start building this here. I'm going to leave it there, because we're recruiting off that one. But I'm going to start building this here because it's already tier 2, and that'll give me access to crossbowmen really quickly here, which is good. I want that. Back over this way, that's still building, that's still building. I'm still not changing the Wuxing compass because I've got bugger all income, and that's all that's keeping it in the positives. That caravan's got 1 turn, the other caravan's got 6 turns, so my treasury will get a nice buff next turn. I will quickly check the diplomacy. So as you can see, every turn I'm just looking around to see if there's anyone I can massage for a trade deal. I'm not really interested in doing diplomacy with them at this stage unless they're willing to trade. Because all it's going to do is make me more enemies. With the exception of Zhao Ming and other legendary lords. But like the Celestial Loyalists, unless they're going to give me a trade agreement, I've got no real interest in a... you confederate them. Not going to do that. As I said, Confederation's messy. It'll give you global public order penalties for like 8 turns, I think it is. Maybe only 5 turns. Can't remember. I think it might even vary by faction in some cases. So all I'm doing is I'm attending to my faction mechanics. I'm making sure that my cities and stuff are growing. I'm recruiting stuff on my armies. And I am making sure that I've got a little bit of money in my treasury. Yeah, that's fine. And... yeah, and that's all I'm doing, is I'm just working on expanding. So I've already taken 2 provinces, and I'm looking now at getting my 3rd. And that's, in less than 20 turns on the very, very hardest difficulties. Now, yes, I've played a lot of this game, but the reality is that you can do exactly the same thing. All you got to do is just take your time, get to know your army well, make sure you let the best units in your army, like your lords and heroes and your artillery, make sure that they're doing the work for you. Set up the infantry so that they cover those things. But ideally, in most battles, as you've seen, you should be able to get away without micromanaging melee infantry too much, especially in the early game. If you set up well, choose your terrain well, get on the high ground or get something where you can choke point them, stick a wall of infantry in front, stick your shooting units at the back, just blast the bejesus out of them. It's great. Not every lord, of course, is a meat tank of death and, huge kill counts like Zhao Ming is. But that's okay. You can still do a lot with other lords, as you'll see in some other videos. Now, initially I'd planned to take this to turn 30, but I think I'm actually going to call it at turn 20 for a couple of reasons. A, this campaign's gone disgustingly well. I couldn't have asked getting Snickage on an auto roll in March stance. Like, you can't plan for good luck like that. I was planning on ambush baiting him around with this lord in camp stance. But hell, he walked straight into us and just got whooped. And that was only, 3 turns ago, so he's not going to be back for another 2 turns, and by that stage I'm not sure they're going to have anything left. Now, what did I want to do here? I wanted to change this change this item out, because he no longer needs that. He's already got Stalk now. Oh yeah, I'll take the Iron Curse icon, because that's going to give him missile resistance, and as we've seen, mass shooting, even mass terrible shooting, can be quite a pain in the neck for dear old Zhao. Anything big like that in dragon form is going to take a bit of a pounding. Okay, now I'm going to fight this one really, really quickly. No, I'm not. Screw it. Normally, I would fight that one really, really quickly, just because my army's still replenishing, and I don't want it to take stupid casualties on a battle that's an absolute snooze. Like, all I would have to do on that battle is set up my army and just press play. And they're going to get absolutely steamrolled. Obviously, I need to look out for the menace below still, but that's all right. I'll use this opportunity to show you guys a little bit of what me and a friend of mine that play this game a lot together affectionately like to call diplomancy. It's the school of magic where you can pull all sorts of tricks and chicanery with diplomatic relations and set things up positively in your favour. Even though it's called Total War, you will see that you can do a lot with diplomacy. As I said, I'm not going to use the DLC Celestial General because you may not have that. So all I'm going to do is grab a Fervent Questioner. And she's going to sit there. And now would be a good time to grab a couple of Regiments of Renown. And hopefully that and the garrison will be able to take out that. Or at least give them enough of a headache that this army can come and follow them up next turn. So we've moved our recruitment out of Xingpo for now. So that's good. I'll just grab a few more melee units to pad that out. So one of the things that you can do, diplomatically speaking, is you can massively increase the value of a settlement by building a recruitment building in there, and it's usually good enough. God, what timing! So this is so lucky. So the Kite of the Uttermost Airs, it gives them a constant damage over time effect for other flying units. Plus, it also gives them an extra 20% speed. So the 20% speed is going to be better than the additional missile resistance because it's just going to give me more time to dodge the shots. He'll be able to fly around much faster and they'll have a harder time shooting him rather than him reducing the damage of the shooting that they are going to hit him with. So in my opinion, the speed is better than the missile resistance for a unit like that. If it was something that was really, really slow and like 20% speed, so slow that 20% speed buff's not going to make that much of a difference, then, do what you like. Okay, so I don't want to unbalance this. No, I do want to unbalance this province. I'm going to unbalance that back to the black so it grows a bit faster. So, I said that I was going to show you how to get Satang the Watcher, and I'm going to, but just maybe not the way I initially planned, because as I said, I'd planned to take this to turn 30. But it is, apart from the campaign going disgustingly well, which is what I started to say before, it's also, as of now, it is 2:36 in the afternoon on the 24th. And it's patch day tomorrow, so I don't know if I'll get the chance to do the extra 10 turns. But if not, it doesn't really matter. That's sort of pressing more on into the mid-game based on how well this campaign's going. You may find that your campaigns take a little bit longer to get off the ground, and that's really okay. As I said, I planned for this one to take 30 turns to kind of get to a really solid point like this, and it's taken me sort of less than half that time. But again, can't plan for good luck like that. So, as soon as this is tier 3, if you want Satang the Watcher, as soon as this is tier 3, you build this building. Then you're going to get a quest pop up that's going to ask you to build to maintain this. Beg your pardon. Maintain 7 of these units, Jade Lions or Jet Lions. So all you need to do is you need to recruit a Lord back here, and just have them sit there in the capital and recruit 2 of those Lion units every turn until you've got 7 of them. So 3 turns of recruiting 2, 1 turn of recruiting 1. And then what will happen is you'll get a like a dilemma will pop up asking you what special effect you want with Satang the Watcher. And then when you click, you make your choice and you click it, and Satang will actually pop up at Zhao Ming's army. And then you can just go back over here, dismiss that army and all of its Jade Lions, because it'll probably stuff your economy a little bit doing this. But then, bang, you've got Satang the Watcher nice and early in the game. As I said, though, if you don't have the DLC and you don't have the access to Satang the Watcher, then that is A-okay. He's cool, but he's not, 100% necessary. Okay, so I need the income from my caravans. This is the great thing about Cathay. Because they make so much money from battling, and because their caravans bring back so much cash, you can afford to run a negative economy for a little bit. So that's, having your income in the negatives, but just relying on topping up your treasury to keep you afloat. So part of the reason that I'm in the negatives now is because of how much you pay for supply lines on legendary difficulty. If you're playing on an easier difficulty, you could easily have these 3 armies with more units in them, and you wouldn't probably be in the negatives yet. But yeah, that's just, them's the breaks. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to build, because City of the Shogun Gun hasn't been taken, and neither has Wei Jin up there, I'm not going to worry about... Oh, that's a shame. Oh well, easy come, easy go. the Regiments of Renown will be available again in 10 turns, and we'll unlock others in the meantime anyway. And all we really needed to do was try and slow them down a bit. It didn't work. On the bright side, our economy will go back into the positives now. And we can just have these other armies double back and smash them. Because now that I've got the Skaven pinned down, the reality is they're not going to risk, probably not going to risk. You can never be 100% certain what they're going to do on the higher difficulty. Sometimes they just will YOLO it. So probably what's going to happen now... Oh, goddamn. Caravan got attacked by the Lamian Sisterhood. Man, that backfired. Remind me to make a peace treaty with them. Again, it's only the Ogre Ally Caravan. That wasn't the greatest one anyway. So, whatever. It cost me 600 gold. And again, in your first campaign, like, don't let stuff like that sweat you. Like, whatever. It's Caravan. No big deal. Easy come, easy go. Like, yeah, it would have been better if it didn't get wiped out. But, like, by no means is that a campaign-ending catastrophe. So, yeah, just whatever. Press on. We'll get the money back. Okay. So the Great Bastion's pretty well sorting itself out, or sorry, Miao Ying's pretty well sorting out the Great Bastion for us this time, so that's really good. So we've taken Mingzhou, but we don't want it, because we can't possibly get the rest of that province at the moment, unless we confederated these guys, which again I don't want to do in this video. So we're going to build just a tier 1 settlement, tier 1 recruitment building, cheapest one available, and then next turn we're going to sell that to these guys for a ton of money. So, I've got the Skaven pinned down, but I don't know where Snickich is. He could pop up again as of next turn. Because we killed him on turn 11, and he's got a 5-turn recovery, unless he's got anything that makes it shorter already, which I don't think he will. So, how do I want to do this? Yeah, okay, I really don't want these guys getting around the... Okay, now what I'm going to do is I am going to use Zhao Ming to smash these 2 cities. So bang and then bang. And then I'm going to use her, and she's just going to hang out around here to make this guy feel threatened. Because as long as they feel threatened, they shouldn't move out of that city. Get rid of that because he's super damaged. Don't need him. Get rid of that. 1 peasant archer is not going to help me. Going to consolidate them into 1 unit, and that's going to free up a little bit more money to get 2 more of those. Because if I'm going to be paying income on units, I'd rather be paying... if I'm going to be paying upkeep, beg your pardon, on units, I'd rather be paying it on a full strength unit. Cool. So Zhao Ming's army's back in good nick, and that's where you want to keep it. As I said, if I was playing this by myself, I would definitely have played a lot more of these battles by myself and kept my casualties down. But just for the sake of expediency, or if you want to see how a campaign just plays out and don't necessarily want to get bogged down doing 15-20 minute battles every other turn, then yeah, roll your way through it. No worries. Turn the battle difficulty down like I showed you in the last video and just roll. Yeah, now that I've said that, he's actually going to run away. God, it's just giving me the bloody willies, this. They're not doing what they're supposed to. That's alright, we'll get there. What will happen once you've taken away an AI factions, once they've got no settlements left, they'll just attack the nearest thing, and they'll be taking attritional damage from not having any settlements, and so basically it just becomes a suicide run. They run up and die on your walls. Don't want to fight them. It'll give me relations with Goldtooth, which I do want, because I want to use him to protect my western border, sorry, so I'll take that. Nope, can't afford the treasury, so we'll take that one. Mandatory meditation. Cool, got the quest for Zhao Ming's unique enchanted item, which reduces his army upkeep and does a bunch of other cool stuff. So, we're going to go for Jadewind Mountain. That's an easy auto roll. Yep, that's fine. And we're not going to sack it, so we're going to keep it. So we don't want to... See, look how much that's jumped our economy already. If I'd sacked it, it wouldn't have jumped it near to half that much. So I can't tell if he's moving out of Xingpo because he wants to make a go for this, or if he's moving out of Xingpo because he feels threatened enough by this army that he thinks he can't hold it. Could be the latter. You can see there's no army garrisoned in there, so Snickage isn't waiting there to ambush me. But I would expect him to pop up in the next turn or so. Let me just double check they have. Yeah, they haven't managed to slip the net and grab any other settlements. So we've got them pinned down to 2 final settlements. Send out a new caravan, but fine, I'll just send him. I'm going to go to Dwarves again. Because I still... Oh, no, there's already a Dwarf one going. Start going Empire. The Empire's got some groovy stuff as well. But what I will now do, because I don't need to worry about Snickage jumping me, is I'm going to go peace treaty with the Lamian Sisterhood, so that they don't jump my caravan on the way through the pass by their capital anymore. So I can confederate any one of these 3 factions. Look, if you want to confederate, do. Oh, you know what? Screw it. No, I won't. Yes, I will. No, I won't. No, I won't. Yeah, I will. Yeah, I will. But first I'll show you this. Okay, so what you can do, I've built that building there. So now, and I should have showed you how much they would pay for it beforehand, because it wouldn't have been as much. So what I can do is I can then sell them Ming like this, and they'll give me a bunch of money for it. Or I could confederate them. Or I could then sell it to them and then confederate them to make a bit of money out of them before I confederate them. Or the other thing that we could possibly do is we could sell Ming to the northern provinces, and we could go all up to military allies with them. Now, I wouldn't say go military allies this early on in the game, because that means if she declares war on someone, you've got to go with her, or you will suffer a diplomatic penalty. So I would just say defensive alliance now. So we're going to sell that to her for a defensive alliance. Is that what we're going to do? Let me just double check. Is Ming part of this? Yes, it is. So, what do I want to do? I could either keep this, confederate them, and gain another full province. Or I could sell this on to her for a defensive alliance, which will then help inoculate me against being declared war on by Loki Felhart. Because conventional wisdom would say more territory, gooder, but it's no good to me if it just gets turned around and taken off me in 2 turns. But it would hugely jump my economy, and they may already have an army here. Look, I'll show you how a confederation works, just for the sake of it. I hadn't planned on doing this, but I'm going to do it anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell them Ming and get nearly 5 grand out of them. And then, I see that dropped our confederation chance heaps, but they're still going to go for it. And then I'm going to confederate them. Okay, so what happens when you confederate? For a start, this. So you will suffer diplomatic relation penalties with all other factions of your, or all other like factions of your race. You will suffer a control penalty, and you can't do any other confederations along the way. And it lasts for 5 turns, not 8 turns. Maybe that was the previous Warhammer. So now, as you can see, though, I'm in a bit of a bind, because I can't then protect these cities. They're going to get attacked by the Skaven, and I'm going to end up giving him more territory, which is why I didn't want to do the confederation. But as I said, the purposes of this video is just to illustrate sort of how to get started, broadly speaking, and that's why I would recommend not doing a confederation too early on in the game, because stuff like this can happen. However, you can also, let's say I've done this, and I'm like, whoops, that was a bad idea. What I could then do is I could then turn around and further sell this territory back to Zhao Ming for further money and further diplomatic concessions. So I could just turn around and sell that province right back to someone else, and then that becomes their problem, not my problem. So what I might do is I might see if I can massage this situation, just for the purposes of illustrating some of the stuff that you can do. So she's not going to give me any more money for that, so I may as well tack a defensive alliance onto that one. There you go, done. Then what I want to do is I want to turn around and sell her... What's this one? City of the Shogun Gun, which I can't... Yes, I can. So I'm going to sell her the City of the Shogun Gun, and then I'm going to go join war against, and see if she'll come into my war against Clan Eshin, which she will. So we're going to balance that off as well. She doesn't have any money left, so that's alright. We're just going to do that. Bang. So now the Skaven are also her problem, and rather than them taking that territory off us and sacking our treasury for a bunch of money, we've now got a bunch more money in our treasury, and they're going to sack it off her. So that's no longer our problem. And then we can, once they've taken this stuff off Miao Ying, because she's now at war with them as well, then we can just go back up with go back up there with Zhao and smugly take it all back for ourselves again. And then we could even turn around and sell it to her again for more money. So, as I said, if I was playing by myself, like if this was just my campaign, I definitely wouldn't have taken that confederation, but I think it was worth it just to show you guys how that can work and how that can bite you in the butt. Because at the start, like on the surface, confederations, oh yeah, beauty, more armies, more territory, whiz bang. Yeah, it also means more enemies, more upkeep, more public order problems, and sometimes you'll cop a bunch of territory that's then got a bunch of enemies standing in it and you can't do jack to defend it. So confederation really can bite you in the buttock if you are not careful with it. But as I said, you can also turn it to your advantage. So I just, sold a bunch of money and got an ally out of it and got her to join an existing war that I've already got. And now when he comes along and declares war on me, because the Skaven are nearly dead, so this was inevitable, because as I said, the game likes you to be in a lot of wars. Now, at least when that happens, he's going to come and attack her as well, so I'm not just dealing with it by myself, which is why having allies is a really good idea. Glad that I made that trade that turn. Because if Loki had suddenly declared war on me and I hadn't already copped a defensive alliance with her, that would have been really, really awkward. I didn't realise that was my lord standing out there. Got him in the Confederation. Whatever. He doesn't have any gear on him. I'll run him away just so I can waste their time a little bit. But it doesn't matter if he gets killed. Which I'm almost certain he's going to. Oh no, never mind. Okay, so Snickich is back. So that's a bit of a bum. We wanted to deal with that before. Hopefully, we wanted to ideally put the Skaven in the ground before Snickich respawned, but whatever. We beat him once, we can beat him again. Okay, so that's good. So now that they're going to come back this way a little bit, it should be easy enough to intercept us. For us to intercept them, rather. So as you can see, even before turn 20, the Skaven have just got armies everywhere. The longer I'd waited to deal with them, the worse this would have been. So at least now I've got them down to only a couple of, like 4 armies I think they've got. And what, 2 settlements left? So hopefully this should be a relatively easy war to finish off with them. And then all we've got to do is deal with Loki at Fellheart. Then we've got to help make sure that the vampires in the middle of Cathay get wiped out. Either by helping Balthazar Gelt or just making sure that he's done that. And then we start coming up here and helping deal with what's beyond the wall. And in the meantime, we can start charging up the Emperor's Wrath thing in the Tea and Sympathy. Both of those are not that good. Yeah, whatever, I'll do that. I'm not really performing hero actions at the moment. Okay, so I did just waste their time that they didn't bother following that. So I'll dismiss this because that counts as an extra army. Yeah, that's a bit better. So what do I want to do about this? Okay, I want to send Zhao Ming over to deal with Snickage again, because she's not going to be able to handle that. She's going to go into March stance and come back here to the... Just hold on there for a second. Just tell him to encircle that. She's going to come back over here and nestle up in Kunlan to protect that. There we go. And Zhao Ming's going to jump this army. That's an absolute trash stack. Again, if I was playing this myself, I would definitely fight that because I like fighting battles and I like keeping my casualties to an absolute bare minimum. But realistically, I'm aware that I'm a little bit pedantic about fighting battles. There are plenty of battles that I fight in my own campaigns that I could very easily get away with auto-rolling. I've just been stung by it so many times that I tend to err on the side of caution. Because I think I'm saving time by auto-rolling, and then it stuffs my campaign or my army takes unexpected casualties and then I've got to spend more time recouping from that, whereas in the long run, turns out it would have just been quicker to bloody auto roll it. Alright, so I'm going to start building that in the overall scheme of getting a hold of Satang the Watcher. Just going to keep upgrading my central province. As you can see, I haven't really done much out here, partly because I don't know what I'm going to lose to the Skaven, but partly because I've only got so much money, and that's how you build an effective empire, is you take from the outside of the empire and you build from the inner. So on the edge of your empire, where you're fighting all your battles, that's where you're earning your money, and then you send those resources inward and build up a solid core, and then expand outward from there. And that's usually the best way to do it in this game as well, especially on the harder modes. And depends on the faction as well. So Khorne, whatever, just go and burn everything down. Have a whale of a time. With something like Cathay, Empire, Dwarves, Kislev, Elves, like most factions, I would say. Take from the outer and send those resources to the inner, because you can never be quite sure what's going to happen with provinces that are right on the battlefront. Something could slip your net and get in behind you. A random enemy could just suddenly declare war on you. The enemy that you're already fighting could pay another enemy to come and join, or just invite them to come and join. If they hate you, they might go for it anyway. God, that's a lot of rats. Bloody hell, mate. That is a lot of rats. That's all right. It'll be fun. It's all crap anyway. They're terrible rats. But yeah, the thing is, even on the harder modes, even terrible rats can be a problem if there's enough of them. And the AI kind of specializes in that approach. It doesn't really matter what the problem is. The Skaven AI's solution is more rats. And to be fair, playing Skaven, that's kind of the solution to most problems anyway. It's like if there's a problem that hasn't been solved by the application of more rats, the Skaven hasn't yet discovered that problem and solved it with the application of more rats. Yeah, I'll take an Empire Hero for that caravan. That'll be handy. It doesn't cost me anything. Alright, so the Great Bastion. Okay, so here we go. Eyes of the Watcher. So I've got to kill 1,500 units in battle. That shouldn't take long. That'll be like one battle against Skaven. And then start accruing those 7 lion units over here where I can actually build them. Okay, so we've got a rebellion here. We've got 1 million rats out here. They're all pretty shoddy though. Not loving that rebellion there, so I might deal with that really quickly first. But we're only 2 turns off the end of the what I wanted to sort of accomplish with this video anyway, so maybe I'll just, for the sake of the argument, let's just say that I'm going to deal with that. But realistically, what I'm doing and what you should be doing, regardless of who you're playing, because again, this is not meant to be a hugely in-depth guide just for Cathay, it's just meant to be using Cathay as a good example. What you want to be doing now is making sure that you wipe out the enemies that you are fighting with. Don't leave them with like 1 or 2 settlements and 1 or 2 armies because you think, oh, they're pretty much done. They will regain their strength, they will remember that you guys were at war, and they will declare war on you again at the worst possible moment. Particularly when you are dealing with Skaven, Greenskins, or anything Chaos, or anything Vampiric. Like, if I was at war with, I don't know, if I somehow got into a war with these guys, another Cathayan faction, as part of the peace treaty, I might be able to secure, like, trade and non-aggression and stuff, and then our diplomatic relations would increase, and then I could be pretty sure that they weren't going to turn around and stab me in the back at exactly the wrong time. Skaven, Chaos, Greenskins, nah. Don't let them live. Wipe them out. Cool, so diplomatic relations with Greece have opened. That's good, because I want to use those ogres to guard the eastern mountains, western mountains, even. And, you know, if someone comes along and takes a bunch of his territory and I have to go and take it back off and either keep it or sell it to him, well, shame. Alright, so the Skaven are a little bit distracted by that other Cathayan army being there as well. Oh my god! Alright, he's gone full throttle back for Kunlan. I did not expect him to do that. I thought he would stand and fight against Zhao Ming, but that is not what he has gone for. Oh. But he's just going to besiege it? He's not going to attack? Okay, he's obviously not feeling super confident about that siege. So we might have to change tack a little bit. Might have to take Zhao Ming up there in march stance and help him, use him to help lift that siege. But if we can get that siege down to an auto roll, that would be really good. Against Skaven, I'd probably use auto roll against Skaven more than anything else, because on the auto roll battle, you can very often just completely wipe out the losing army, like wipe them out to a model. There's nothing left, and that's really good, because even a splinter force of Skaven, like a small half-dead, highly damaged army, even they can sneak off, grab a city, replenish, and they're back again. It's a lot like dealing with rats in real life, actually. It's really hard to wipe them all out in one fell swoop. But if you can do it, it's absolutely worth it. Now, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it there with Zhao. Hey, got the Anchor Chain. That was the other dwarven item that I was after. So I'm going to put that on Zhao now before I forget. So it's going to drop his ward save, but it's going to give him extra melee defense and extra physical resistance. And physical resistance counts for reducing the damage of things like arrows and stuff like that. Oh, you annoying bugger. I could probably make it there if he wasn't in the way. Yeah, that's a decisive defeat, obviously, on the auto roll. But it really is just garbage. The thing is, though, Snickich at the level that he's at could just about kill most of that by himself, and we just don't have anything to answer him with. So that's okay. They're probably going to retake Kunlan. That's alright. Sometimes you have to play a little bit of back and forth with them. So we'll come out of march stance. We'll go back and take Xingpo. So as you can see, we're cutting them off. We're forcing them into a smaller and smaller space, giving them less and less room to run around, and concentrating their armies in a narrower field. So eventually, in the next turn or so, we'll be able to pin them and just take them out. So, going to order all that one again, just for the sake of time. Keep leveling up. Generally speaking, if you've got a lord that's got access to magic, that's generally speaking what you want to be leveling first. Like, yeah, down in the blue tree is really handy. Like down here, getting things like reduced recruitment costs, less attrition, casualty replenishment rate, and wound recovery time. Lightning strike, so you can cut off enemy armies and fight them just one at a time. Upkeep reduction. Replenishment chance, ambush defense chance, and further upkeep, movement range. Some of them have movement range and stuff here. So, generally speaking, like, the blue line is fantastic. But with a caster lord like Zhao Ming, who's just incredibly powerful, I like to make him more powerful first. But that's just my particular playstyle. You may not want to use him as a battering ram like I do. You might want to use him a bit more conservatively. And that would then let you spend those points down in that blue tree. The other reason that I wanted to get the Von Carstein blade, because that... Ooh, yes, please. Because that's enabled me to get my magic leveled much sooner, whereas otherwise I would have had to have taken time out to go through his tree that gives regen, which is his, like, unique skill tree. Most lords have, like, a unique skill tree up here. So that's his regen there, Iron Scale. Does other stuff apart from just regen, but as I said, being able to get the Von Carstein blade means that I was able to kind of get all of the above. Regen, kick-ass magic. So I've been able to do both at once. And now probably what I'll do is I'll probably go down the blue line, given that I've also managed to pick up one of the Singer blades that also gives regen, which is, again, really lucky. If I hadn't got that, I would definitely go for Zhao Ming's regen first, so that I can continue to pass around the Von Carstein blade as needed. And keep it probably on the secondary lord or on Zhao Ming's hero, so then both characters in that army would have regen. Okay, so this is going not so great now, probably because I had such a strong start. So Loki Fellheart's going to come in and start taking this province off me now. So there's not really a lot I can do about that at this stage. So the plan now is to get rid of the Skaven first. As you can see, they're all taking attritional damage here because they don't have any cities left. So they're just going to sit there and burn until they decide to lay that siege. So we've got them absolutely over a barrel now. They're in the last turn or two of their life. So we're just going to mop up them, and then we're going to send Zhao Ming down to start dealing with Loki Fellheart. And once we've got the Dark Elves, that's kind of all the major enemies within Cathay itself dealt with. Nurgle can push in from the southeast. If green skins... Beg your pardon? I've got a really scratchy throat today. If the greenskins under Grimgor manage to power through Greasus and take over those mountains, we might have to deal with him coming in. But it's all the major enemies within Cathay itself neutralised. Got some minor enemies like the vampire counts and, whatever. And then all of your other major enemies are either southeast, a good distance out of Cathay, northeast, a good distance out of Cathay. Sorry, not northeast, northwest out of Cathay, southwest out of Cathay, or north out of Cathay. Once we've got them locked down, yeah, I'll feed them a unit of peasant archers. Absolutely. Again, I don't mind feeding Greasus's faction a steady diet of occasional caravan units when I'm trying to curry favour with him fast, because it means, A, my caravans don't have to fight another battle, and B, oh, there's Snickage, hello. And B, it just gives free diplomatic relations, which is really, really good. Okay, so he's backed off that fight, so that now means that we might be able to actually just click our way out of this one. Yep, auto-resolve Pyrrhic victory. I would definitely fight that normally. Like, I would not consider that acceptable casualties for, like, a normal playthrough of mine. But that's okay. Again, just for time's sake. And that brings us quite neatly onto the rest of, or to the end of turn 20. Now, what I would recommend doing here, because we've got no hope of holding this against Lokir with that army, no hope at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to back this lord away. I'm going to take her up into Zhao Ming's territory, Miao Ying's territory, sorry. Because we've got a defensive alliance with Miao, my army will still replenish in hers. I'm just going to let the rebellion take that. Don't care. I'll get it back off Loki Fellheart in a minute, in a few turns. All I'm concentrating on right now is just wiping out Deathmaster Snickage. I don't care if Loki takes these territories back while I'm engaged with doing that, because Loki Fellheart, he is a really powerful legendary lord. His faction's really good, don't get me wrong. Yeah, we'll be in for a good fight with them, but they're still not as much of a problem as the Skaven. They can't spread plagues. They can't undermine your cities. They can't hop around in the underway. They can't walk up and ambush you. overall, I would much rather be fighting Dark Elves than Skaven. So I don't care if Loki Fellheart comes and takes this stuff back in the meantime. Our core province is secure, everything's building nicely, and if the other thing is as well, if Loki is engaged in smashing these territories that we just took, then he's not paying attention to the stuff out here that's actually super valuable to us. Now, this is really, really valuable territory, don't get me wrong, but we haven't invested a whole bunch of money in it yet. So it's better now to cut our losses, back off, and then go back and take them again when we're sure that we can take them. And we also will get a clear run at Loki's capital, which is off to the side. It's off to the east of... East is the direction this time, I got it right. It's off to the east of the city of the Shogungan. Alright, so that's the end of turn 20. We've just about got Snickich wiped out. I had hoped to have that done by turn 20, or like on turn 20, basically. That's usually sort of what I go for when I'm dealing, or when I'm playing Cathay, or when I'm dealing with a major Skaven faction that I start, like, really close to, is try and get them out of the game by, like, turn 20 or so. Yep, he's going to take Village of the Moon. Nothing I can do about that. That's fine. And he's going to start overrunning her a little bit as well, which will be to our advantage in terms of pushing her closer to a confederation, if that's what we want to do. I would definitely recommend confederating Miao Ying once you're comfortable with this campaign. She's a very powerful legendary lord. And once you got a little bit more underway interception. Okay, so he's tried, for those of you that don't know what this is, he's gone into his underway stance and tried to jump through impassable terrain. He's tried to, like, jump under the mountains. And we've intercepted him. So there will be no survivors from this battle. Done. Dead. Got him at a decisive victory again. Don't have to deal with Snickich. Free kill. Easy. And there is no way that he's getting back onto the campaign map again. A, he doesn't have any friggin' cities to respawn at. And B, even if he was going to respawn in control of an army, those armies are no longer going to exist. So we can pretty much start filling out the application form to have a nice tombstone chiseled up for Snickich. Yeah, she's getting clouted by Tzinch up here. Yeah, it's not going as well as I'd hoped for her. That's alright, we'll get up there and save her. Anyway, I'm going to come to the end of this one now, because that's about the hour there. I'll wait until the top of this turn and just give you a sort of brief overview of where we're at. As I said, I don't think I'm going to get a chance to do the other 10 turns on this one, because it's patch night. Oh, he does have a settlement. He managed to take back Kunlan. That's okay. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to come into March stance. Still not going to be good enough to get there. That's alright, so we're going to send Zhao Ming up here. We are going to bring her into March stance, just so she can't get ambushed, and we're going to cuddle up here. And the next turn, both of them are just going to go kersplat and take Kunlan, and then that's the end of the Skaven. They've only got one city left, and we're looking straight at it. And then we're in a position to start striking back at Loki Fellheart. So what I would do in this situation is I would retake this. I would use Zhao Ming to probably lead the battle, but I'd try and take the city with her so that Zhao can either enter ambush stance or replenish or channeling, and then I'd try and get down here somewhere in ambush stance, because the ambush success chance in here is really high through these sort of mountains, and just try and cop Loki Fellheart at an ambush, take that back off him, take that back off him, and then I'd push straight this way and take out his capital, because once you've taken, as I said, as you've seen before, once you've taken out their ability to replenish like high tier troops, you're pretty well won. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope this has been entertaining and helpful. Oh, Goldtrek and Felix, that's a cool quest. Hopefully this has been entertaining and helped you kind of get a sense of what your sort of turn 10 to 20 look like in terms of kind of establishing yourself in a strong position to the mid game. Now that also depends on how long you want to play for, but if I was just going for a short campaign victory on Zhao Ming, I would be, you know, sort of already pushing pretty close to the kind of sort of a third of the way through. But as I said, you know, a lot of this has gone really, really luckily for us, especially with regards to the items and catching Snickich in that force march stance in the first turn of war with him. That was great. Thank you very much for watching. If you've got any ideas or feedback, please feel free to let me know. The next video I do won't be, unless I get time to do the next 10 turns of this tonight. If I do get time to do that, I will. But otherwise, if it's the other side of the patch, I will start with something new because the patch will render this save game out of date. And if I try and load it back up again, it can cause all sorts of problems. So, yeah. Thank you for watching, and yeah, see you guys next time. Take care.